Welcome to our SwimPix presentation. My name's Alison Bell and been involved in swimming teaching for 35 years, from grassroots with ABC Swim School to the international platform for artistic swimming. My new project has been SwimPix, aiming to make communication as effective as possible, especially for those with communication challenges. You can visit our website, which you can see here, which is www.aswim.uk for further information. So this workshop will guide you through the delivery of school swimming using SwimPix to support delivery of the Swim England School Swimming and Water Safety Charter. And it will also support you when we are returning to swimming after lockdown. So what's in store? Well, we're going to explore the Swim England School Swimming and Water Safety Charter. This will also enable you to give starting points for your swimmers after lockdown and when we return back to the pool. We're also going to take a look at SwimPix products for school swimming. We will also look at sharing some testimonies and case studies where SwimPix resources have been used. One of the last things I'd like to leave you with before we move on is that SwimPix can be used in the classroom as well as at the pool. So we would be able to get some learning in before we go to the pool. So let me tell you about the Swim England School Swimming and Water Safety Charter. As you can see from the slide, there are two stamps and they represent two different schemes within the charter. So the first one is the School Swimming and Water Safety Charter, and the second one is the School Swimming and Water Safety Foundation. This particular scheme is for your special educational needs and or disability children. So what we can do is we can follow this link if we click on here, and what that does is that takes us through to where you can register. So let me show you that. So here's the Swim England page where you can sign up for the charter. So if I just scroll down for you, you can see here reasons for signing up. So I'm just going to give you a minute just to read those. So as you can see here, I think this is really interesting. Schools must be registered via the school registration tab below to access the downloadable certificates. So that's great for giving a reward for the attainment that children are able to achieve during the school swimming water safety charter. Here's your sign up button for school swimming if you're a school and you want to register, and on this button it's for lesson providers. You've also got lots of information on here, is why sign up to the charter, school swimming and water safety charter content, how to use it, what's in the awards and how to get involved. Very simple, and it costs £30 to sign up, and I believe it's £36 with the VAT, so well worth signing up. So hopefully everyone knows where they can sign up for the Swim England School Swimming and Water Safety Charter. So each scheme has aims for the national curriculum, as you can see here. So for this one, the aim is to swim competently, confidently and proficiently over a distance of 25 metres. Use a range of strokes effectively, including front crawl, back crawl and breaststroke, and perform safe self-rescue in different water-based situations. Now in this scheme, as you can see from the illustration here as a cog, there are 6 core awards in the school swimming and water safety. There are 2 extra awards, which are the Aquatic Skills Award and also the SelfRescue. For the foundation, with the aims here are to travel on the front or back using arms and legs across a distance of at least 3 metres, use a range of core aquatic skills and develop basic awareness of being safe in and around the water. And on this scheme, we have 5 different core awards. And you can see here on the foundation, we have these little flashes which show us that those awards are in the foundation. And the last award in this one is the water safety awareness. Now we've illustrated this using the cogs. And what happens is the cogs, as they're turning, is that award 4 and 5 are comparable with awards 1, 2 and 3 in the School Swimming and Water Safety Charter. So this makes it very inclusive, which enables everybody to take part. So now I've introduced you to the Charter, I'd like you to consider the following questions that are on the screen. So what positive outcomes would be gained and what barriers would you come up against by starting to deliver the Swim England School Swimming and Water Safety Charter? I would like to share the feedback from another workshop where we discussed these 2 areas. So the positives that came out were the following. So it'd be great to follow a national governing body charter that links to the national curriculum for swimming. It gives a structure to aid teachers in delivering school swimming, new ways of delivering to special educational needs and or disabilities, and brings more structure to the lessons. Being able to download free certificates and rewards for students once you join, and giving a standardised approach across the country and covers multiple areas under one programme. So they were the positives. There's a few barriers and I've kind of condensed them into 3, and this is what we came up with. So school teachers not always aware of what's going on in swimming lessons provided by others at the local pool. Some teachers are resistant to change to something new. And this one I think is probably one of the most important ones that we need to address. And that was that swimming teachers are not provided by the schools. So we need to work with the swimming teachers and providers who provide the lessons and upskill them to use the Swim England School Swimming and Water Safety Charter. So the main area that came out there is that we need to all be on the same page. The programme is amazing for school swimming, and I personally would highly recommend it. I worked with it in lockdown 1, producing the SwimPix cards to go alongside it, and it is progressive, achievable. It's all the things that you need to run an effective school swimming programme. So let's move on. Let me tell you about SwimPix and what we have for you. So this is the first set I'm going to talk about, which is the School Swimming and Water Safety Foundation Pack. So this is fully waterproof. You get a poster with all the cards in the pack. All of the cards here are colour coordinated to the certificates. You get an index card which shows you which is in each award. You have the 5 awards. You also have another set in there for your water safety awareness. And the final set in there is your communication set, which I will go through with you in a short while. So the foundation pack is for schools with pupils that have special educational needs and or disabilities. This pack is ideal for pupils that are very anxious and have communication challenges. It has also been illustrated to include equipment such as walkers, hoists and wheelchair users. To give you an idea about the level of these awards, let me explain a little about the progressions and where it fits in. The first award is about the swimming pool and what you will find being around poolside and sitting on the edge, watching and then taking part. It slowly builds throughout the programme, enabling them to swim 3 metres in Award 5. These have been carefully illustrated to support the outcome set. For water safety awareness, there are cards for discussion such as beach flags, where it is safe to swim, 4 key water safety messages, and situations that could be dangerous. We also have SwimPix cards to support this teaching through games and fun. Here are our foundation minis. They are A7 and mirror the main pack. They come on lanyards and they're fully waterproof. These are perfect to use with individual pupils, and you can remove and add cards from the ring to suit the needs of your lesson. A great tool to use as a bridge between home and school and the pool. These can also be used as an add-on for school swimming for those schools that have a few pupils that require the foundation awards, making it inclusive. So let's take a look at how we can use SwimPix at the pool. So as you can see here, the first point we've got is we can use as a single card for a visual demonstration. And here I've got backstroke and forward somersault, both actually extremely difficult to demonstrate in its true form. What I mean by that is being flat on the back and also showing down. So often when I do a forward somersault, I might use my hands like this to give the idea of the forward somersault, but the SwimPix cards shows it in its true form and easier to understand. You might use it to promote an inclusive and effective communication amongst a group of pupils. So whatever their need is, they can all see what they need to be able to do. You may have a children with English as a second language in the group, and again, showing them the picture makes it easier for them to understand as to what they're going to do. We've also got cards for visual cues and instructions in games. So you can see here we've got "What's the time, Mr. Shark?" as a visual aid for a game which you might have movement within that game. We've also got cards that are red, yellow and green, or red, amber, green, where you can play traffic lights. You could always use them also to stop and go, and those types of activities. You could give the card to a child that has a short-term memory. I know on many occasions I've given, I'd like to think, a really good backstroke demonstration with an activity that they're going to do. And then the child looks at you and says, "What stroke are we doing?" Perhaps giving those children the card will help them stay engaged and help them remember what they're going to do. You can also use a SwimPix card alongside a teacher or learner pupil demonstration. So you may show the card as a forward somersault. You might then get a child to demonstrate that, and then the pupils could have a go. Again, making that communication with meaning. Another idea that I like to use is using the cards for questions. So for example, it might be in the backstroke, can you see the body is nice and long? Can you tell me where the arm is? Maybe on the forward somersault, can you see me or tell me where the knees are close to? Just helps engage the learner a little bit further. So let me talk to you about storyboarding at the pool. This does reduce anxiety, and you may well already use this within your classrooms, visual storyboards of the day. So we can use this using SwimPix in the classroom also and in the pool. So we have three different ways of using them. So we have our two board here, which displays two SwimPix cards. So this would be used as a now and next board. So here I can explain it to you here. So this would be now we are going to get into the pool, and our next activity is going to be washing our face, and we may do that with a game. So once they've climbed in, you move this card over, so they're now washing their face, and then you'd have your next card ready. It's actually really nice in the sense that it's minimal information, but enough to reduce anxiety. Our next system that you can use is our three board. So we can have three cards on here. So you may use this for your main outcomes of your lesson. So what you're going to do in the warm up, what you're going to do in the main theme, and then what you're going to do in a contrasting activity. You may even decide to have 3 floating shapes for a sequence, and then they make up that sequence as to what they want to do. So our last idea for you is to use the 2 board and the 3 board together as demonstrated here on the slide. And this makes up a 5 cards lesson. So the example that's here is we're going to get into the pool. We're then going to do washing our face. We're going to move and travel on our front. We're going to do a star float on our front, and then we're going to climb out. So it gives a child, particularly somebody on the autistic spectrum where anxiety can be challenged, it lets them know what they're going to do. So a really useful tool for in the classroom and in the pool for reducing anxiety. So let's move on to that communication set that I said I would talk to you about. The pack has 23 cards in it, and it's made up of a variety of different communication tools. So we have emoji cards here, where I personally would probably use those at the start of a lesson to maybe get a little bit of rapport with my swimmer. So I might show them here that I'm excited about the lesson. They may show me a card that they're worried about the lesson. They may also say they're excited, or they may just tell me that they're cold. So these cards are really useful for building rapport and helping children that struggle to show their emotions as to how they're feeling. There is another communication card in here, and this one is really just about breathing in and breathing out and reducing anxiety. And I use this quite often when I'm dealing with anxious crying or distressed pupils, and it's referred to as the 3 C's. So you can see here, it's calm yourself, connect without communicating, and then communicate with meaning. And one of the big things is when you get to that 3rd C is what can I do to help, is a really valuable question. So I'll let you better read that yourselves. I think it's quite self-explanatory as to how that works, but we all know that breathing in for 3 and out for 6 3 times will bring anxiety back down. We also have instructional cards. This one's probably one of my favourite, which is stay up and hold the side, which can be given to children that lose concentration quite quickly. I know I've taken children with ADHD that you give them an instruction and then within less than 5 seconds they've forgotten and they've let go of the side. So again, this might be a useful one for them to have. We've got cards that are stop, wait, go again. They could be used for a game, or they could be used for instructions like wait your turn or go again to keep the class moving. And the last 3 cards I want to share with you in this set, I'll take a break. An example I can give you of that, I do take a girl again with ADHD, and sometimes she gets a little bit overloaded. So she could show me that card. She also gives me a little sign that goes like this. We made that up. So if she does this to me, I know she needs to take a break. You've also got, I need the toilet. Again, children may sign, I need the toilet, but another way of communicating. And the last one, 5 minutes to go, particularly good with children with autism that absolutely love the water, particularly being underwater, and they quite often don't want to get out. That's once you've got them in, of course. So that 5 minutes to go is quite important, that they know that the lesson is coming to an end. So this communication set has been incredibly useful for children that are challenged a little bit with communication. So I hope you find that useful. So let's have a look at the school swimming and water safety pack. This is waterproof and it is the same format as the foundation pack I showed you earlier. It has in the pack awards 1 to 6, which are the core skills. We have the Aquatic Skills Award, and we also have the SelfRescue Award. So this pack is for primary schools and school swimming providers. The pack is ideal for a school swimming programme. It has been illustrated to include SwimPix that can be used in the classroom and at the pool. Water safety is woven throughout the awards, starting in Award 1 and building the core aquatic skills and strokes for children to be safe in and around the water. Let me show you the school swimming and water safety break it down book and some of the cards in the pack. Together, you will be able to plan some exciting lessons in the classroom and at the pool. This book gives progressive practices and those all-important teaching points for each outcome on the school's programme, including the Foundation Awards. There are many classroom activities that can be used, especially useful in this current climate. This book will be helpful for planning lessons at the pool and in the classroom. Let's take a look inside the book. Here is a front crawl example in the book. So let me take you through this. So we have the stars at the side here, and that shows us what award the information is relevant to. As you can see here, we've got the little flashes by number 5. So that means it's Foundation 5. We know that through the flashes, and it's Award 2 that it's also relevant to. We have a little triangle here, which reminds us to think about best practice and safety, that we always check that depending on our environment that we're teaching in. These are colour coordinated to the certificate. So again, that makes it easy for us to find the SwimPix in the box because it's the same colour. Each section has a clear aim of what we're trying to do, and the specific objectives here are taken from the awards. So what it does is it gives us a nice progression through sort of stages 1 to 6, including the aquatic skills award here. And it also shows us where we are in relation to the foundation awards. You might notice in here that Award 3, there isn't any stroke development. And that's because in Award 3 on the schools programme, the main focus is on the core aquatic skills and open water hazards. So water safety plays a big part in Award 3. So let's look at the stroke development in the book and how we can use SwimPix. So here we have, for all the strokes, we have this acronym BLAT, which is body, legs, arms, breathing, timing. And in the book, the acronym gives the key points for each part of BLAT to remind us of what to consider when we are teaching the different strokes. There is guidance, as you can see here, as to how to use the pages. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a plain page and just talk you through it. So this is front crawl, and we can see that we've got our safety triangle to think about the area that we're teaching in and whether we need to consider any safety aspects. We can see that it's Award 5 for school swimming. And we also know that because it's this blue colour, which is the same as the SwimPix cards, and also in the index, it is the same. So we have clear aim of what we're trying to achieve and our specific objective taken from Award 5. We also have our SwimPix cards that you can get from the blue section of the pack. So we're going to have front crawl, kick, and we're also going to have full stroke front crawl. So on this side of the page, we have our progressive teaching practices listed here. We're using a teaching method, whole part whole. So we're looking at the whole stroke and we're assessing and finding out their level of where they start. We are then going to be choosing our progressive practices. They may well be working on leg action or arm action. And then at the end of the lesson, we would have a look at the whole stroke again to see what they have learnt. For each of these practices, we have 2 teaching points, which are so invaluable. It's the how and what do we need to think about whilst doing the practice. So there's lots and lots of variety throughout the book, giving you lots of different ways of saying the same thing. We've also got similar pages for the core aquatic skills. So again, you can do this in the classroom at the pool. So we've got our little safety triangle. We've got our aim and our specific objectives. The difference here is that we have the award colour, if you like, and the SwimPix colour. We've got them like this because they are indifferent. So this purple is award 3, so we know they're going to be picking up a stinker in award 3, and they pick up a stinker slightly differently in the aquatics award. So this tells you where to find that SwimPix card for your lesson. We still have here all our progressive practices to meet this outcome, and we've got our all-important teaching points and different ways of saying the same thing to actually enhance the learning. In the book, we also have some classroom activities that you might find useful. So in Foundation 1, and you can see here that we've got the flashes with our little star telling us which award that it will be in. We've written a social story for the classroom. There are 18 cards to work with, and the slide here shows part of the story. So pupils could hold the SwimPix up, or they could be displayed in the classroom on a board or a wall. Social stories teach us social situations and reduce anxiety, especially for those on the autistic spectrum. It gathers information and it does prepare your pupils for what's going to happen. One of the things I love about social stories is they can be read as many times as needed. It could be that it's taken home to be read at home, and it also can be read in school on a regular basis so that the children are ready for their swimming lesson. So another activity that you can do in the classroom is pool rules. And these are to keep us safe. And as you can see here, they are in Foundation 1, because we've got little flashes, and they're also in the School Swimming Award 1. So these are obviously really important. They can be done in the classroom before they go to the pool, which gives you that little bit more time on that first lesson for actual swimming to take place. There are 19 cards to choose from, so you can make it bespoke to your own pool rules and your own school rules. So here are some examples. We have made them inclusive, so things like clothes left tidy I think is always useful so that they know where their clothes are when they come out. Maybe put your hat on. We've also got cards where they tie their hair up if hats aren't something that you insist on in school swimming. We've got inclusive cards, so walking to the pool in different ways. We've also got ones with wheelchairs. And then you've got some pool rules, you know, hold the side and listen is one of the key ones. And there's many more that you can work with in the pack. It might be that you do discussion groups in class about the rules and why they're important. Maybe even with some literacy, get them to write about the rules or possibly make some up with some reasons why they think that might be a useful rule to have. So let's take a look at water safety. In the national curriculum, water safety needs to be taught and one day may save their lives. So what we have here is we have the 4 key water safety messages which are in the pack. I've just got some examples of 2 here. Always swim in a safe place, and if you fall in, float, breathe, relax. So we've got some examples there. We've also got the beach flags. Again, I've given you 2 examples. In the pack, we do have some of the flags that just say beach flags, so you can use those as questioning. So you can ask them, what does this stand for? If this flag was flying, does that mean I can swim, for example? And in Award 3, there are 15 SwimPix open water hazards to identify and discuss. The Break It Down book has guidance on various discussions on different open water hazards that can be discussed in the classroom. So here are two examples, one being a lake, if they were on a lake, and what's the hazard here if the water was quite deep. We have put life jackets on them as a sort of talking point. We've also got things like riverbanks, what's the danger, and it could be like slipping in, etc. But as I said, there are 15 different, so this would be an amazing lesson to do in the classroom, and I'm sure you'd have them all engaged. So let's have a look at moving forward. So we've identified open water hazards, but what we're going to do now is develop self-rescue in water-based situations. And here we have some examples. Firstly, the self-rescue, there are 10 different types of self-rescues that the children can learn. And in the Break It Down book, all these skills have progressive teaching practices with teaching points. Secondly, there is a section on what to do in water-based situations. So there are 12 situations that are matched to Award 3 where they're identifying the open water situations. And in the self-rescue award, they learn to self-rescue if they get into trouble. All of these can be discussed in the classroom with the cards. My question to you is, and this is really something to reflect on, is can the non-swimmers in your classrooms learn about self-rescue and water-based situations? It may one day save their life. So think about teaching it to everybody in the class, because the education itself could be enough to save their life. I know in my experience, 9 out of 10 children will say, you'll ask them the question, what would you do if you saw your friend in trouble? And many of them will say, jump in and save them, which is the last thing we want them to do. We want them to be able to phone or get an adult to help, etc., and use the 4 key water safety messages. So really think about teaching everyone in the classroom. Last thing I want to say on this section is in the Break It Down book, we have 2 pages dedicated to identifying situations and self-rescue in different water-based situations for the classroom, enabling you to plan your lessons. So really exciting that we can get swimming into the classroom before we can get back in that pool. So let's have a look at some mini polo activities. I get asked many times on a national curriculum training programme. So that's a course where school teachers can learn to teach swimming. What do we do with the pupils that go to clubs? Well, the Aquatic Skills Award is great for this, and one of the outcomes is participate in a game of mini polo. This is such fun and meets the national curriculum PE requirements under games as well as swimming. We have designed 9 cards with progressive practices and teaching points in the Break It Down book to be able to play mini polo, hopefully enabling more confidence to teach this. Many of those outcomes can be done in the gym at the moment at school and then taken to the pool once we're allowed to get back there. I hope it's helpful, and it would be great to see children within school swimming playing water polo or mini polo. I would like you to consider the following questions in preparation to returning to swimming after lockdown. Here are a few ideas that came out from previous discussions. I hope you find them helpful. The first thing I'm going to look at is the second thing on the slide here, is what barriers would you come up against on returning to swimming after lockdown? And there were 6 things that came out, so I'll share those with you. Is that parents may be reluctant for a child to swim and access the pool area, so you may have a problem with parents. Bridging the gap from when they last swam. So do we know actually where they are now? Because their level of ability may be quite considerably different to where we left off. So what do we need to do about that? Perhaps getting into the water for one-to-one support if needed, may be tricky with restrictions. Um, Many children have not been in the water for a fun swim for a long time, never mind lessons. So that hasn't been happening. Senior leadership teams in schools are lacking confidence for their pupils in travelling and returning to the pool. Again, hopefully this will improve as restrictions are lifted and vaccinations come in. And another question that they were sort of asking was, who do we take swimming? Is it year 6 or is it the younger ones? And there was a lot of talk about providing top-up swimming, like week intensive courses, to kind of hopefully bridge that gap a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is look at the top one on the slide there, is what lessons can you plan in the classroom using SwimPix to prepare for the return to swimming and meeting the national curriculum requirements. And it may also help with some of those barriers that I've just mentioned. So some of the things that came out were as followed. So this was more of a recommendation, but I thoroughly recommend teachers getting SwimPix. I work for Everyone Active and we bought them for every pool, which helps teach different types of learners. It is also very helpful with the current social distance guidelines. I thought this was a really useful thing. It depends whether you had already done it, but maybe it's something you could consider for the future, is using video of them swimming previously to see where they left off, and perhaps showing them what they need to do and what's left in the charter using the SwimPix card. So you could kind of start bridging the gap a little bit that way. One of the national curriculum outcomes is perform a self-safe rescue. So that requires practical knowledge and awareness, and that can be covered in the classroom and also using SwimPix. I really like this idea, and some schools have been doing this in lockdown. And that's draw a swimming pool on the playground and having a dry side run through using the SwimPix card, so giving an idea of organisation and some of the activities. Some other schools are going to introduce parents to the charter and SwimPix so they can be supported at home. So those mini cards would be really useful for bridging that gap there. Somebody else said they've been using SwimPix cards with teachers in school and the SEN children prior to going to the pool to help build up the teachers' confidence and children's safety awareness. And they really do help their fab. So I think some people use them in between lockdown 1, lockdown 2, when we could swim for a little while. Another idea was that SwimPix could be used in a water safety assembly. So it's another idea for you. And there's 2 more, and I think they're quite valuable, so I'm going to share them with you. So some schools are using SwimPix in the playground, but also introducing floats and noodles to overcome sensory concerns, getting children used to the feeling of them before they go to the pool. And the last one is something you can do in the classroom, is create own comic strip journeys to the pool and during the lesson. So hopefully there's some kind of quite fun ideas there that will get us all started. So I hope that's been helpful. I think it's useful just to reflect on what we need to do and what can we do. So let's look at a simple planning resource we have developed. This is a PDF format, so you can type into the boxes here, or you can print them and just write over them. If it was me, I'd probably do little stick men in there, so you can kind of plan out a lesson. So it is for a series of lessons, so a 6-week period. So you could put your entry, your warm-up, main theme, contrasting activity, and your exit here. We also have at the bottom extra cards, so you may want to put a communication card in here, or a water safety, or just an extra card that you can't fit into the 5 plan. In the pack, there are index cards for each award with all the outcomes for each stage or award. So you could use this to plan out weekly outcomes to make sure that you've covered everything over the 6 weeks for that award. And that way that will kind of help you plan. You could also use these for planning some water safety lessons in the classroom. So hopefully that's helpful. I do have another one to show you. So here is our weekly planner. So this could be used on poolside as a brief lesson plan and also help you know what cards you need for the lesson. You can also make any evaluation notes from that lesson on how children did, or if there's anything that you needed to alter. You can use the Break It Down book to expand on progressions of the activities and teaching points that you might use. And you could also use this for planning weekly lessons in the classroom as well. If you do use them, any feedback to us would be much appreciated. This resource is free. To be able to access it, you can just email us, and I have put my email address under my name there, so it's office@aswim.uk. If you just put down there that you've attended the workshop and you'd like to have the planners, then we can just send them out to you. I do hope you find them useful. So I'm just going to finish with sharing some testimonies with you about SwimPix. So let me introduce you to Laurie. So Laurie came to my swim school. She has quite a few communication challenges, can speak but doesn't say many words. She actually came, and trying to engage her in the lesson was actually quite challenging. She was more interested what other people were doing in the pool. But when we started to introduce the cards to her, the amazing thing was she just started picking them up and just copying the pictures. And then it also gave her, she was able to see what we were asking her to do. She was able to show us, she'd give us a card to tell us that that's what she wanted to try. And her progression was amazing. She went from not being overly engaged in a half an hour lesson to being fully engaged for most of the lesson. And the reason her testimonies, I love these cards because she used to pick them up and that's all she used to say to everybody in the pool. So it was actually quite a delight, and really made me realise how effective the cards are going to be. So this is Isla, and Isla suffers quite a bit with anxiety. And I gave her the minis to take home. So this is a bit like bridging the gap between sort of home and the swimming lesson, the pool. And what she was able to do was to be able to see what she was needing to achieve for a particular award. And she was on stage 4 of the Learn to Swim programme. But you can see from her testimony there that it really helped. So we have gone with Isla. The first time I met her, she was actually attached herself to the shallow end steps. And the first couple of lessons were talking her down off the steps and getting her into the pool. And she now loves swimming, but we still address her anxiety every week. But the SwimPix minis have made a big difference to her. So that was, again, another really good testimony for me, sort of as the development of them. SwimPix was also used in Inclusion 2020, and I'd just like to sort of bring to your attention the 3 stripes here. It improved the quality of the delivery of the lessons. SwimPix increased the level of engagement among the special educational needs and disability children, which was great. And it also helped them achieve the national curriculum outcomes. And I really like this testimony here. On one occasion, I forgot to bring the SwimPix cards onto poolside, and straight away the pupils reminded me. They said they wouldn't know what to do without the cards. So it just goes to show how powerful those visual cards can be. So again, a great report to show how effective they are. So really pleasing for us. So that kind of brings us to the end, really, of what we've gone through today. So just to recap, that SwimPix does provide effective communication with meaning for both teachers and pupils. It gets everybody on the same page, so we all know what we're trying to achieve. The Swim England and School Swimming Water Safety Charter, it's clear and progressive and caters for an inclusive programme, enabling attainment to be recorded in line with the national curriculum outcomes that need to be met. And lastly, it can be used, SwimPix can be used in the classroom and in the pool, and it will support the return to swimming after lockdown. So I do hope you find them useful, and that it will make a difference when we go back to the pool. So my last slide is really our contact details. So any advice or training that you need, you can contact me. John Arundel is our sales, so he can help you if you want to buy any of the products. We've got our website here. Feel free to follow us on Facebook. We do put sort of quite regular posts out. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can contact me there or through the website. And as you can see on the video, I have got my email address up there now for you. So thank you for listening, and I really do wish you well getting back into the pool after lockdown. Thank you.